Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to McGill Sports Channel. Here's Herbert, and my partner Patrick and I will be giving you guys a short video about the history of basketball, and hope you'll enjoy it and hope you really learn something from it. So here's the table of contents that we'll be covering in this video. First, the creation of basketball and the development of basketball, and then the basketball in Canada, the development of basketball league, and also some personal experience in Canadian high school about basketball. So unlike many sports that people begin to play informally, basketball it's a intentionally created game. So who invented the basketball? Yeah, Dr. James Naismith. It's known worldwide as the inventor of basketball. And he was born in 1861 in Ramsey, Canada. And he was also a sports instructor in McGill University. So as a McGill University student, I'm really proud of him and what he has done. So why Dr. James Naismith created basketball? Just for fun or for other meanings? So James Naismith moved on to YMCA training school in Springfield, USA in 1891. YMCA means Young Men Christian Association in the United States. And in 1891, James Naismith was asked to create an indoor activity for students there because the students there were understandably bored doing nothing but calisthenics and gymnastics during those long Massachusetts winter. So they got bored, and they need some sports that had actions and competitions. So therefore, Dr. James Naismith was asked to create some competitive and fun games. Therefore, basketball came to this world. So how he created basketball? Dr. Naismith combined elements of outdoor games like soccer and lacrosse with the concept of game he played in childhood. It's called Duck on a Rock. It's a Canadian game that a lot of Canadian children has played when they were young. So I don't know if you have heard of this, but it must be a really popular game. So in this game, player has to throw a stone to hit the target placed on top of a boulder. So this gave him some inspirations that a ball and an elevated goal, those are the simple ingredients of the sport that now has players and rabid fans in nearly every part of the world, which is basketball. So this picture shows the gymnasium in Springfield YMCA. So you can see that there's a soccer ball on the ground and there's a basketball now to the balcony raining 10 feet above the floor. So Naismith class played the first game of basketball using this simple equipment in this simple gymnasium. They're simple, but it's a great start of the basketball history. The peach baskets you can see in the picture were closed, and the balls had to be retrieved manually until a small hole was put in the bottom of the peach basket to poke the ball out using a stick. So at the first beginning, every time they score a point, they have to use a ladder to climb up to take the ball out, and then it's really inconvenient. And afterwards, they improve the basket, and then the modern basket, they approaching to the modern basketball equipments. At the first beginning, there were only 13 rules at the beginning, and they were really simple. Like people can throw balls by their hands or one hands, and people cannot hit others. And one important rule is that players cannot dribble, which is eliminated in the future. So most of the rules are kept until to now. So since Dr. Naismith created a game, a lot of people suggest that why don't you call it Naismith's game? But he suggests that since it's a game with basket and a ball, why don't we call it basketball? So that's how this game came from. So we know that this basketball game started in the United States, but how it spread out all over the world. It's because of the YMCA. It had a major role in spreading basketball throughout the United States, Canada, and the world. In 1893, players from YMCA brought basketball to Europe, China, India, Japan, and Persia. The First World War broke out in 1914, and the US Army started fighting in Europe in 1917. So together with the troops, there were hundreds of physical education teachers who knew basketball. So during World War I, the American Expeditionary Force took basketball wherever it went. So now I'm going to talk about the development of basketball strategies. So the basketball strategies wasn't the same throughout the history. So the style of basketball has evolved over time as well. Basketball, especially in the 90s and the 2000s, used to give importance to big men. Games were slow-paced and very defense-oriented. Now, because of teams like San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors, ball movements and T-plays is more common and important. And the game now is up-tempo, and teams are starting to evolve a lot of more three-point shooting in their offense.
Here we'll talk to you about the development of basketball equipment. In 1916, the backboards were placed 2 feet from the wall to prevent easy layups. Because beforehand, the backboards were simply just on the wall, and players were capable of running up the wall and performing easy layups. This was then lengthened to 4 feet in 1939. In 1929, the basketball was redesigned to have more bounce and eliminate erratic bounces. Because near the beginning of basketball, the ball was unfit for bouncing, and it was a soccer ball actually. Now we'll talk about the development of basketball rules. So for team size, the original rule, it was in teams of 9, and the reason for this is because only 18 players showed up to Naismith's class. And at the beginning, Naismith even said that he didn't have enough rules for the game, so like many rules had to be modified shortly after. Now for the modern rule, in 1897 it was changed into teams of 5, and for substitution, the original rule, players were not allowed to re-enter the game. However, this was changed in 1934, where players were able to re-enter twice. And then in 1945, players could return to the game an unlimited number of times. For scoring, the original rule was 1 goal, 1 point, no matter where you were on the field. And now the more modern rule, in 1896 it changed to 2 points for a made field goal, and in 1967 a 3-point shot was accepted by the FIBA. For timing, the original rule was 2 15-minute halves, and the more modern rule was 4 quarters of 15 minutes. At some point there was sudden death, where the first team to score a point would win if it ever got to a tie. However, that was changed to overtime for a more fair game. After that, for dribbling, the original rule was not allowed because the balls were unfit for dribbling, and then it was allowed from 1909 to dribble and to move with the ball while dribbling. Now we'll talk about the development of basketball in Canada. In 1923, CABA was founded in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Canada's first professional team was made in Toronto. It was called the Toronto Huskies. In 1973, CABA adopted the international rules of FIBA. Canada's first professional team started playing in 1946 to 1947. In 1994, the NBA awarded Canada the Vancouver Grizzlies and Toronto Raptors, and this spelled a new era for professional basketball in Canada, and basketball was gaining popularity because of these 2 teams. However, the Grizzlies proved to be unsuccessful and were moved to Tennessee. However, the Raptors remain to be the only Canadian basketball team in the NBA, where they are still successful, they're still a team, and they have gaining popularity.
Hi, Patrick.
Hello.
Hi. Would you like to share some of your experience about basketball in your high school?
Okay, well in high school I actually played a lot of basketball, about, I would say, 2 months every year. Secondary 1 through secondary 5, and I had a lot of fun.
That's good, yeah.
Quite familiar with basketball.
Yeah, I love basketball too. So I have a few questions here. So do you feel you've done enough basketball in your education program, like in high school, elementary, any of them?
I firmly believe I've done enough basketball, yes. I definitely wouldn't go do extracurricular basketball, but I've had a lot of fun and I've done enough, and Canada puts a high importance on basketball in their curriculum.
Yeah, I've heard of that, which is good. Yeah, I want to also go to Canadian education program to do basketball. So do you feel basketball is important in your education program?
Yes, I would say it's rather important. It works necessary skills, it works teamwork, hand-eye coordination. I think it's a great sport and everybody should learn it in school.
Yeah, definitely agree. So what do you think of the difference between your high school basketball class and the university high school basketball class, especially in Mr. Andrews' class?
Honestly, I prefer Mr. Andrews' class.
Yes.
In high school, I didn't have that much fun, honestly, in the class. Like, there was always those star players, you know, and it was less equal amongst everyone else. And, like, I personally found it less inclusive. It was more like, here's a ball, do what you want. Whereas Mr. Andrews' class, we all have a ball and we're all having fun, you know? So it's a lot funner.
Yeah, everybody gets the chance to play.
Yeah, and we actually learn all of the different rules, like formally, rather than just, you know, here's a ball, play. So.
Yeah. So which way do you think it's better to, like, for the curriculum to do, the university level or the high school level, that kind of class? Do you think all the high schools should follow like Mr. Andrews' class?
Maybe, but I guess it really depends on the teacher and how they present the sport to the students, because there's always like the curriculum that they have to take in mind. But I definitely would say that it would be a lot funner if everyone in like high school would be able to get a ball or something to practice their shots.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.